which they do knick-knock shit all the time, and then want to cry when somebody busts a cap in their ass. To me, they're the enemy. They always will be. I hate them, but yeah, to me, all black men are zero tolerance. Like, don't talk to me, don't look at me, don't even breathe in my direction. I will start crying and I will call the police.
I love calling the police on.
Yes.
I love it because they tighten up. They turn into a whole different person
when they tuck that tail and run.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
I think she should apologize to White Zaddy because this is the White Zaddy Awards, and she tried to put her dead husband in there.
I'm a bitch from the streets. I get that money. I get that money. Bitch, give me what you got.
Yeah. What's up, YouTube? What's up, Facebook? What's up, Rumble? This is Mr. Royce and Royce Media coming at you guys with another live stream. How y'all doing out there? Y'all good? Yeah. It's Taco Tuesday. Yeah. Now, I would say something that would be real pause-ish or something that would be real Diddy-ish, but I'm not going to do that. Anyway, tell me how y'all doing. Do me a favor, as you all come into the live stream, hit that like button, announce yourself in the chat, because this show is chat participation. And so I want people from all three platforms, that's Facebook, Rumble, and YouTube. I want you guys to get active. I want you guys to announce yourselves and let me know where you're from and, you know, say what you got to say. You can even troll. I'm good with it. I'm good with it. You know, hey, let's have some fun. It's a lot going on in the news, and we're going to talk about some of it. So, that being the case, let's get into it. Let's do that. Let's have some fun. Jimmy Olive, what's up, man? How you doing? Good morning. Glad to see you, bro. Yeah. It's Taco Tuesday, Jimmy. Are you going to eat some tacos today? I'm not eating tacos today, but people call it Taco Tuesday. I guess acoustically, it sounds good. I'm cool with that. I've got no issue with that. Yeah. Said not too much going on. Well, hey man, I'm glad you made some time to come in and check us out, man. Check me out over here. I'm trying to make it happen over here. So, you know, I'm gonna allow a few more minutes to get some other people into the stream so that we can, chat back and forth, talk back and forth. I can answer questions and we can talk about what's going on. As you all seen from the thumbnail, our boy Diddy has fled. Diddy got the F out of Dodge. Hey, when they raided his house back, I want to say maybe it was January or December, I asked the question. I said, hey, how come Diddy didn't do like Russell Simmons and just leave the country? I would have did it. I would have left the country. I would have been left the country. I wouldn't have waited until I got raided a second and third time. I would have left the first time. Hey, they at my house. Guess what? I won't be there. Yeah, Jimmy Olive says no tacho or Taco Bell too high for nothing. Yeah, Taco Bell is some trash. Man, I know people that love it, and I don't. I don't love Taco Bell. Not at all. You know, I tend to like more authentic Mexican food anyway. So yeah, Taco Bell. Taco Bell is basically like the McDonald's of taco restaurants, in my opinion. Some people love it. And for the people that love it, I've got no issue with it. Me, yeah, I'm jaded. you know, I'm jaded. So, you know, yeah, man. Yeah. Let's see who we got in here over on Facebook. Take a look at what we got going. And then take a look over at Rumble. See what we got going. See who's out there, who's checking out the show. Yeah. Yeah, man. But let me make sure. But yeah. So other than that, man, I, I don't have a whole lot going on. Not right now, at least. We're gonna talk about this Diddy situation. We'll talk about what happened over in Russia because I think that's important because I don't think necessarily it's who they say it was, but it could be. And we'll get into that. In fact, let's take a look at what the news has to say about the Russia situation right now. Let's take a look at that. Let's go over here. See if we can make something happen with this. Why you want to make my life hard? OBS. Man, OBS be tripping, man. What be up with OBS, man? And my computer be running slow. My internet, for some reason, is running. So I got two different internet lines in my house, and they're both on 5G. So ideally, I shouldn't have anything running slow, but You know, this is Florida, man. Florida network, Florida cell signals. If you not in Orlando, Miami, or Tampa, your internet services and cell services are gonna be trash. Straight up, they're gonna be trash. All right, so all right, let's make this happen. So we're gonna look at this big head Russian, Vladimir Putin, with the big forehead. Hey, he looks like an evil character, man. He's probably a nice guy. He's not nice. Everybody that make Vladimir mad wind up deleted. Hold on, let me get this to play.
Russia has once again issued a chilling threat to those involved in Friday's horrifying attack on Moscow Concert Hall that killed more than 130 people. President Vladimir Putin's close aide and deputy chair of Russian Security Council, Dmitry Medvedev, said that they won't spare anyone involved in the attack. Medvedev said Monday that the perpetrators behind the deadly Moscow Concert Hall attack will be killed, as calls among officials to restore the death penalty grow. Should we kill them?
Hey, Putin don't mess around. He say exactly what it is. I am not mad at this guy at all. He is not going to give you a politically correct, nice message to make all the Karens and Emilys feel better and to make Keisha feel like there's some justice going on. He say exactly what it is. Hey, they up out of here. We getting them up out of here. We gonna find everybody and we getting them up out of here. I ain't mad at Vladimir Putin. Let's continue. Fair use, fair use.
We should, and we will, Medvedev wrote on the messaging app Telegram the day after 4 suspects were placed in pretrial detention by a Moscow court. At least 137 people were killed, and 182 others were wounded when 4 men opened fire and set ablaze Crocus City Hall, a popular venue northwest of central Moscow, on Friday evening. The Islamic State affiliate, ISIS-K, claimed responsibility for the attack, the deadliest inside Russia in the past 2 decades. Medvedev, who has a...
All right. They're saying that this is the dash because the other word is one of those words you can't really say on YouTube for some reason, unless you're a big news network. But the dash of those that shall not be mentioned, and y'all heard what it was. These guys are claiming credit for it, but see, I don't know, man. I think that might be an alphabet agency of another unmentionable government. You know, it's just convenient that this would pop up now out of all times. I mean, now. Yeah, I'm not really buying it, but we're going to continue to listen to this story. Fair use, fair use.
Emerged as one of Russia's most vitriolic pro-war hawks following the full-scale invasion of Ukraine, claimed it's more important to kill everyone involved in the Crocus City Hall attack than just the 4 suspects being held in custody. All of them, those who paid, those who sympathized, and those who helped, said Medvedev, who serves as the deputy chairman of Russia's Security Council. Kill them all, he said. Medvedev is among a growing number of top Russian officials calling for the lifting of a 3-decade moratorium on capital punishment. Critics have warned of unforeseen consequences given Russia's broad use of counter-terrorism and anti-extremism laws that have ensnared anti-war figures from different walks of life. Authorities in 2023 opened a record number of terrorism cases, while the so-called international LGBT movement and the late opposition leader Alexei Navalny's network had been designated as extremists. In a post on X, Medvedev vowed to avenge each and every victim of the Crocus City Hall attack. Meanwhile, Russian President Vladimir Putin on Monday said the perpetrators of the Moscow concert hall attack were radical Islamists. Speaking in a meeting with government officials, Putin said the killings were carried out by extremists whose
All right, so we're going to end that right there. What do you guys think? I mean, first of all, that was a horrible situation. A lot of people got killed. A lot of people who undoubtedly didn't have anything to do with the actual conflict in questions, or who, you know, people that were just out trying to live their lives. They became victims of conflicts of people they have no control over. So let's see what you guys are saying in chat. Jimmy said they already got the guys. Yeah, they grabbed 4 of them. But if you listen to what Putin was allegedly saying, that there's more people involved and that they plan on getting everybody involved and deleting everybody involved. Which, did you see when they bunged them in, it looked like they had hands and feet. Put them, oh, yeah. When they brought them in, yeah, I saw that. So one guy was in a wheelchair, asleep or knocked out. Right. Hey, listen, man, you gotta respect power. You got these people that want to go out and hold hands and they want to sing kumbaya and hug and have same-sex activities with each other. Hey, listen, no. You do something to me, if you violate, I'm coming to get you. I respect people that say that. They draw that line in the sand. Listen, you effed up. We're coming to get you. And everybody involved, everybody that know about, we going Jamaican posse style. We going to eliminate your whole family. Can't be mad at them. I find it hard to be upset with them. And for the guys that they did catch, hey, listen, put a boot in that keister. I'm not mad. I am not mad. I mean, that's just being honest. It is what it is, and yeah, I'm pretty sure somebody gonna be like, toxic masculinity and men are so bad and violent and stuff. That's coming from baby deleters. I'm not trying to hear that. Babies ain't done nothing at all. Fetuses ain't done nothing to nobody. And it's just a clump of cells. So yeah, I'm not trying to hear that from the Keishas and the blue hairs and the goofy Emilys and stuff. I'm not trying to hear none of that. So anyway, getting back to our topic, that's what's going on in Russia, and that's what we see the difference in what Putin says about situations they got to deal with as opposed to Sleepy Joe. Sleepy Joe will, only people he get really, Sleepy Joe don't get firm with nobody unless he scolding black people. Straight up. Then he want to get tough then, you ain't black, But everybody else, he want to be nice and he want to tap dance and stuff. But when he's talking to you Negroes, oh yeah, he get real tough then. He gets real tough. He gets real stern, you know. He becomes Papa Joe to everybody. That's because y'all let him off the hook, you know. Y'all let him off the hook. You know, yeah, you let all them Democrats off the hook, you know. It is what it is. So, you know, Putin was like, hey, listen, this is what's gonna happen. And you best believe it's gonna happen, man. Putin don't tolerate he don't tolerate any uh um what's the word? Dissension. He don't tolerate none of that. He gonna let you have it. He gonna let you have it, and then he's gonna go, I don't know what happened to you. I don't know. Maybe perhaps you can tell me, my friend. You better not tell him what actually happened, because you'll be next. Putin is not playing around. I don't know. What y'all think about that, man? What y'all think about that? What you think about that, Jimmy? What else we got going on here? Let's see what we got going on here. Yeah. What y'all think about it over there in Rumble? What y'all think about that, man? I you know, I keep telling people, and this is my personal opinion, but I keep telling people Vladimir wants to make some deals with the US behind the scenes because he wants to get away from China. Russia owed China a lot of money. He wants to get away from China. But he also wants to show his people strength and resolve. And he wants to make sure that as many challenges as possible to what he wants to do are quelled. That's looking at it objectively. Now, you know, I am pro-America and will always be pro-America. Even though I like other countries, I love other countries. I have family in other countries and stuff, but I am America first. This is where I live. This is where I make my money. This is where, for better or for worse, I've done my part to contribute to this country. So, you know, um, but being objective, I mean, Putin shows some strengths that I would like to see our leaders in the U.S. show. Hold on, let me. This is crazy. This crazy dog is probably barking at some leaves blowing past the lanai, man. I tell you, this dog needs psychotropics. You know, straight up, man. Straight up. Yeah. Hey, do me a favor, hit that like button. You know, on every platform, whatever perspective, whatever respective platform you are on, do me a favor, hit the like buttons. Do me that favor. You know, I mean, and if you really want to do me a favor, drop something in the Cash App, man. I appreciate everything. I appreciate it all. You know, I appreciate whatever you guys can contribute to what it is I'm trying to do here. Say they owe Big C money. Like how much? Man, they owe China. They owe China trillions. Not only that, Jimmy, China more or less brought Russia back from the brink, because uh, after the Cold War ended, Russia was done. They needed to rebuild, and so they went to China and got loans. And this is what China did. China is the world's loan shark. You know, China is the world's loan shark. France is pretty much the blackmailer. France is like the extorter. America is and Britain are pretty much like the strong arm robbery types. You know, um, who else? The the Arabs are the drug dealers, so forth and so on. Every major country on this planet in this day and age is like some kind of villain. They all like some kind of like Batman villain or something. But yeah, Big C, man. Yeah, China. That's what they doing over there in Africa. China's on some loan shark stuff, man. China's like, yeah, we'll help you build your infrastructure. We'll give you all this money to get your stuff set up. But guess what? You're gonna owe us for the next 400 years. That's China. That's what China does, man. So that's what we got. And the thing is that you kind of have to gang up on China to get away from China. And what China is doing right now, China is going to a lot of countries in the Caribbean and Central and South America, and they're cutting deals, and Africa, and they're cutting deals and getting into these countries, getting involved with the finances and stuff, and setting up these loans to where these countries are going to be paying China back for well over 100 years. That's one part of what they're doing. The other part of what they're doing is specifically in Central and South America. They're saying, oh, and they even did this in Africa. What China is doing is China is saying, you see this pottery right here? You see these artifacts right here? These also occurred in China in such and such during the Wuhan dynasty and stuff. And then, now it's over here. And that's because you guys came across the Bering Straits and then you settled here. So you're Chinese. This is all of ours. We're all Chinese, you and us and everybody here, we're Chinese. So China, instead of China trying to take over the world, China is really trying to become the world. They even did it in Africa. There's a video. You know what? Let me find this. Let me find this video because I bet you all have not seen this. This is an interesting video. I saw this a few years back, and I was like, The pro blacks will love this because then they can all say we was Bruce Lee, we was the Bruce Lee Kangs back in the day. So let me find this. A scientist says Chinese are African. Hey, the pro Blickies and the Pan Africans, they ate it up too. When I saw it, I think I did see this video longer than 2 years ago. It was crazy though, man. Let me see if I can pull this video up, man. And see and what people who talk like that who are not Chinese, and they allow the Chinese to say that. They don't realize what the play is, man. It's like, people are playing checkers and the Chinese are playing risk, and people don't realize it. And they don't realize that China's not trying to take over the world. China's trying to become the world. And that's a difference. Let me see if I can get this set up. Okay, what's going on here? Let's try it again. Hmm. Doesn't seem like that clip wanted to take for some reason. Let me try it again. Okay. Here we go. I don't know if you all have ever seen this before. On the other side of this is, my criticism of and it's African Americans that do that. Well, I'm not going to say it's African Americans because African Americans know their history. It's the Black Americans, the different ones. The Black Americans are Hebrews, are uh, Native Americans, are Anunnaki, are Egyptians, are Olmecs, are Moors, are the original Spaniards. You name it, they have an alternative identity that we was the original so and so. They're the original Eskimos, the original Vikings, all of that stuff. And it's like, come on, dude, really, really, some stuff you got to just say now. It's like little kids with runaway imaginations. They everything, but just be Black Americans. You all have a rich history. Black Americans have a rich history. They have many accomplishments and everything. You don't got to be Egyptians. You don't got to be Native Americans. You don't got to be Chinese and Japanese and samurais and Anunnaki and Vikings and stuff like that. That's not you. Hell, you're not even Africans. You're the least African people in the African diaspora. You're a chocolate covered white people. If anything, if you said you were Scottish or Irish, I would, okay, all right. Because culturally, you all are very similar. Okay. Ah, let's go. Fair use, fair use.
Could settle this debate of where the Chinese come from once and for all.
After that,
I'm meeting Professor Jin Lee, one of China's leading geneticists. Recently, he led a project that set out to prove that the Chinese evolved independently from everyone else, from Homo erectus, here in China.
before the project started, I was hoping that I could identify or could be able to find the evidence that support independent origin of Chinese in China, because I'm a Chinese and came from China, and through the education process, I always believed that there's something special about Chinese.
He singled out a male genetic marker which only appeared about 80,000 years ago in Africa. So any man who carries that marker must have recent African ancestors and can't be descended.
You heard what he said 80,000 years ago. So when, Reverend Porkchop and Reverend Pat Robinson and the Jehovah's Witnesses tell you that the world is only 6,000 years old, science has proven otherwise. numerous amounts of times. The people that are telling you that the planet is only 6,000 years old, they go by the proof of a collection of books that don't give dates. They don't give dates of births, deaths, creations, destructions, none of that. They just they think that their speculation is more definitive than science. So, humankind is a lot older than 6,000 years, and civilization is actually older. Civilization has been reset several times. Mankind, the human, is much older than 6,000 years. Let's continue. Let's continue. Fair use, fair use.
From the more ancient Asian Homo erectus. Jin took DNA from over 160 ethnic groups around East Asia. Over 12,000 samples. And so, what did you find?
We did not see even one single individual that could be considered as the descendant of the Homo erectus in China. Rather, everybody was a descendant of our ancestors from Africa.
The result couldn't have been any clearer. And how did that make you feel as a Chinese person?
After I saw the evidences that we generate in my laboratory, I think we should all be happy with that, because after all, modern humans from different part of the world are not so different from each other, and we are very close relatives.
It's great, thank you.
Yeah, so what y'all think about that, man? What y'all think about that? The Chinese are now saying, Chinese scientists are now saying they're African, and this is a part of that strategy that rather than take over the world, just become the world, that the Chinese are using. To give you more context with that, there's a video actually that Sean Ryan, shout out to Sean Ryan, he did with a Michael Yan. Michael Yan is one of the foremost modern day authorities on the Chinese strategy. Let me see if I can pull the video up with the Michael Yan video. Let's see if I can pull that up. We could take a look at it briefly and go from there. So, looking at something like that, that video that we just looked at is about 8 years old. So, and the creator of it was like Azim El Bey. If you know what that El Bay stands for, that's one of them those Moors guys, the American Moors, and so they eat stuff up like that because again, Black Americans are everybody but Black Americans, and that's why I differentiate them from African Americans, because African Americans are immigrants and the descendants of immigrants from Africa. They have a connection to the culture, languages, countries, and different things from Africa. They are volunteers. Black Americans are not. Black Americans are genetically engineered. They are genetically engineered people. They have sub-Saharan African DNA, but they also have European DNA. They also, to some extent, some of them have what we call Native American or Amerasian DNA. Some of them have Semitic DNA, so forth and so on. Black Americans are genetically engineered people. And culturally, they are very similar to the British and the people under the British Empire, which is why they have the same religion, same religious practices, language, mannerisms, social sensibilities, so forth and so on. They are the least African people in the African diaspora. So, all right, but enough about that. Let me see if I can pull up this video with Michael Yan and with him talking about the Chinese strategy. All right, looks like it's going to go.
What are they doing? What's the plan?
I think, for instance, okay, let's rewind a little bit to the plan. Keep in mind, I have written 3 books on Chinese information where I'm kind of dialed in on this. I've been to Tibet, where they were kind of moved in and just took it. Some of it was kinetic, but mostly it was demographic, right? I was in Hong Kong for 7 months until they kicked me out during the last spasm from 2019 to 20, right? And so how did they take Tibet? Mostly demographic warfare. Han Chinese moving in and supplanting the Tibetans who moved off to northern India. I've been up to northern India talking with them. A lot of Tibetans are in Hong Kong or they're in Oregon and California, right? They're all over the place with their prayer flags, but they're gone. Tibet is gone, essentially, right? How did they take Hong Kong? They took Hong Kong, again, they were just bringing in like 100 to 150 Han Chinese per day. They were taking over key positions like professors, preachers, actually literal preachers, and politicians, of course, also policemen, all the P's, and and just slowly taking over the cockpit. And so they mostly did it demographically. They set conditions. As you know, with your background, you know all about setting conditions. This isn't about sparks and all that. This is about setting conditions. And Chinese are very patient about setting conditions. So they slowly just bring in the demographic.
Oh, I forgot to turn the mic off. Now, you heard what he just said about the Chinese being very patient with setting conditions. When I made that reference to everybody else playing checkers and the Chinese playing Risk, if you understand how the game of Risk is played, it's basically set up to be a long-term game, much longer than chess, definitely longer than checkers. Let's continue. Fair use, fair use. Let me turn this mic off while this video plays.
Waves, just enough, not enough that everybody rises up and goes crazy, but you fill the bathtub, right? And so that's what they did in Tibet. That's what they did in Hong Kong. That's what they're doing. I was just down in Honduras, and I was in a place called Roatan. I was talking with a very interesting guy there, and I asked him, do you know?
Shout out to Roatan. Roatan is where my part of my family is my family lineage is from Roatan in Honduras. Yes, I am Garifuna. I'm of Garifuna descent. But what he's talking about is what the Chinese does as far as assimilating other people into them, and rather than them assimilating into other groups. Listen closely.
Know anybody in the Honduran government that's in Roatan's island in Honduras, right? And I said, do you know anybody who has been invited, somebody from the top levels of the Honduran government, military, whatever, who's been invited to China? And he said, actually, yeah, a friend of mine. So who happened to be the top general in the Honduran military. In fact, he was like their chairman of the Joint Chiefs. So I said, oh, is he here? Can we invite him, right? He goes, no, he lives on the mainland near Tegucigalpa. I said, well, can you call him up and ask him to dinner tomorrow night? So we flew him in. The next night, we had dinner with him for 3 or 4 hours, right? And he talked about how he was invited to China because his grandfather came into Honduras, Chinese, in like 1923, right? And so these are called what they call overseas Chinese, right? So I'm going somewhere very important with this. They'll find these overseas Chinese. I had Masako Ganaha sitting beside me, that Japanese journalist who's always Johnny on the spot. And she was, we talked about this quite a lot. They always invite you over. They'll have a parade for you. They'll show you the graves of your family and that sort of thing. He's like, oh, they invited me over. They had a parade for me. They showed me the graves of my family. That's what they do, right? And it's what they do everywhere I go. That's what they do, and they get you one. He said he's been to China, I think 7 times at this point. So those are what they call overseas Chinese. Now there's a different type of recruitment there's numerous different types. Another type is more archaeological and anthropological. For instance, we knew that there was an archaeological dig going on in Honduras. So that's why we flew to Honduras, because the Chinese are doing an archaeological dig there, and they're trying to persuade the Mayan Indians that they came over on the land bridge and they're actually Chinese. And all these bad white people came and took your land, the Spanish, wherever, the Germans, whoever, took your land.
I've got to turn this mic off again, but did y'all hear that? Did you all hear that? What they're doing is they're not assimilating. The Chinese are not assimilating into the populations of the countries that they're going to. They're getting those countries to assimilate to them. That's slick. That's slick, and it's smart. Let's continue. Fair use, fair use.
Right? But we're all brothers and sisters, we're cousins, whatever, but we're all family, and we're going to take this stuff back. So interestingly, that Honduran general, we were talking about this in detail. He goes, their plan is not to attack you and take over the world. Their plan is to become the world.
Hey, what I tell y'all? Funny thing is, this is what Black Americans do to Hondurans and non-Hondurans, Dominicans and Cubans and Puerto Ricans. They go, you black, you is black, because they mistakenly conflate African with black, and black is not African. African is African. African is a phenotype. Black is a social economic designation. It is a social economic designation where the people who are identified as black, they have sub-Saharan African DNA, but that's it. They speak English. They have English sensibilities and mannerisms, English religion, and have an English worldview. That is black. Dominicans fall under the Spanish crown. Cubans fall under the Spanish crown. Puerto Ricans fall under the Spanish crown. Different European governments. That is why they know black. Stop calling them that. Let's continue. Fair use, fair use. But this is what Black Americans are trying to do, what the Chinese are doing. Let's continue.
They're going to become this demographically. They're going to just slowly, that's what I saw in Tibet. That's what I see in parts of Thailand, the place where they want to build the Kra Isthmus Canal. Chinese are moving down there, right? I'm seeing this everywhere I go. I'm watching it in Panama. I'm watching it. It's happening in Honduras. It's happening in Guatemala. I was up in Guatemala looking at the same thing, right? And of course, the Guatemalans don't have quite the relationship with they don't have that relationship yet. Guatemala still has a tight relationship with Taiwan, right? As does Belize. In fact, Masako Ganaha had an interview with the Taiwanese ambassador in Belize a few months ago, and I was there. And we were talking about these sorts of things. And you can see China is slowly taking all the pawns, all the little squares off the board so that Taiwan has no diplomatic cover anywhere, whether it's Haiti or Belize or Guatemala. They've already taken, Panama from them and almost everybody else. Why is this even important? As soon as there's no countries at all that recognize Taiwan, that's it. You're closed down. You can't even travel as a sovereign country anymore. You're not going to, because right now they have the international cover because you are recognized by some people, right? But yeah, this is coming. It's coming hard for Taiwan.
Interesting. I did not piece that one together.
Yeah. So they're slowly, Belize and Guatemala are important for various reasons. Those are the two countries that border Mexico on the south, right? And, another thing, by the way, a lot of these people that are coming through the Darien Gap, they say, they're from Nepal and places like that, and India. I spent a year in India. I spent a year in Nepal. I spent a year in and around China. Why are all these Chinese coming through that are like, I'm fleeing persecution, and yet they still have such diplomatic cover from the United States? Why is a country that we allow people in because they claim that their country is persecuting them or even prosecuting them, and yet we still treat, China like they're our best buddies, in trade?
If you ever read the book by Henry Kissinger, and I know some of y'all don't like Henry Kissinger, but Henry Kissinger has a book called On China, where he warned about giving China most favored nation status, which was done, by Congress and stuff. He warned against it because he understood the Chinese on a level that most of the people that we elected then and even now do not understand China. And he saw back in the 70s and early 80s what people now aren't even getting. This is what Michael Yan is more or less referring to. This is what he's complaining about when he's talking right here. Let's continue. Fair use, fair use.
And whatnot, right?
I can answer that.
Yeah, we know the answer.
It's called elite capture. Have you?
That's
Do you
exactly
know who
what
Peter
it is.
Schweitzer is?
What's that?
You guys got to meet. Do you know Peter Schweitzer?
I don't know him personally.
Yeah,
but it's totally elite capture. They're like that Honduran general I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
So there's that. There's the elite capture in that way. There's elite capture for people that are not Chinese of descent at all, and then there's the overseas Chinese. You can see film.
That whole elite capture thing. Do y'all understand that this has been done in the United States with the black population, with the black American population also? Why do you think they're propping up? It's the boule, and right now it's with the black girl magics. It's the same principle. It's the same strategy. Just sit back and take a look and see how the game is played. Why certain people are appointed and positioned in certain places, whether they deserve that position or not. It's elite capture. Y'all not ready for the conversation though. Let's continue. Fair use, fair use.
Now in the United States. I read a book about 3 years ago, I guess, about building the transcontinental railway in the United States. And the book was written by Gordon Chang. And I messaged to Gordon Chang. I was with Gordon Chang, the Fox commentator. I was with him in Hong Kong and whatnot. And so I said, "Oh, this is a great book, Gordon." I was surprised. I didn't know you wrote this. He goes, "Oh, that's the other Gordon Chang." So I was like, "Oh, okay, that's interesting," because the book was all about basically how the Chinese were so important in building the transcontinental railway. Now, I'm going somewhere with this. You can find, if you go on YouTube, you can find a video where this Chinese forest ranger at Yellowstone is saying, well, the Chinese built the road here. They're basically setting the conditions in the Chinese minds that America's ours. All the people that came through on the Bering Straits, they're saying that's ours. All the Navajo, everybody, all the Indians, whether it's Embera, Kuna, Apache, it doesn't matter. They're saying they are old descendants of Chinese, and this is our land. From the top of Alaska all the way down to the tip of South America, all the Americas are Chinese. And you see them moving in everywhere, becoming these places, right?
Yeah, so we're gonna stop right there, and I'm going to ask you all, what do you think about that? What do y'all think about that? They are succeeding at a strategy. Jimmy say, nah, let's have the conversation. Say niggas want to be everything. They are succeeding at a strategy that Black Americans have been trying and cannot get past. That's for a few reasons. Black Americans don't have the base of operations that they would like to have. So that's cheese. That's chess. That's chess. They don't have the base of operations that uh they would need to do that. And they what's up, Mike Reed? Well, yeah, they definitely China does hold out that China holds a lot of people's debt. And so they're able, that is one of many tools that they use, one of several tools that they use. One of the big things that they use from the Russians, and the reason that they loaned the money that they did to the Russians was because the Russians had something that only the US had, that nobody else had, and that China definitely didn't have. And what was that, Mr. Royce? That was Blue Water Navy. China doesn't really have a Blue Water Navy. They're building one now, but that's what they needed Russia for at the time. They needed a Blue Water Navy, which Russia had. So, but that's what's happening with that. As far as that whole situation with China and what Russia ultimately, in my opinion, is trying to do. They're trying to get from up under the thumb of China. Yeah, and you're right, Mike Reed. They still don't have a Blue Water Navy, but they are building one. Um, we've seen it, and it has been shown in the news that they are building one as we speak, and they have actually been trying to do uh certain exercises with the Navy that they're building. So the thing is that they still don't have the experience, you know. Jimmy Alice says don't spell when doing cardio. Props. But yeah, so but that's the situation you have with China, and that's why Russia is trying to get from up under their thumb, because the way that China plays the game, which what they're trying to do in Central and South America, they also did in Russia. Because you got to remember, what are many Russians the descendants of? Who are they descendants of? Genghis Khan and the Mongolian hordes. When you look at many Russians, they may look like white people with Asian faces. That's because are the descendants of Mongolian hordes and Genghis Khan. So you have that there with the Chinese, and how they wanted one of several strategies that they are doing to, rather than take over the world, become the world, you know. And so, and they even have the thing with the Egyptians covered. It goes deep. If you all are not familiar with guys like Michael Young, I would suggest check out one of his books. I would suggest reading uh Henry Kissinger's book on China. You do yourself a disservice if you don't, especially if you consider yourself to be into geopolitics. That is one of the books you have to read, especially anything by Carol Quigley. I would say read anything by him. Uh, uh, Who else? Who else can I think of with geopolitics? Speaking of which, we're gonna talk about Diddy. We're gonna talk about Diddy running over. He's running over to somewhere in the Pacific Islands. Uh, he'll probably, you know, there's certain measures he's going to take to ensure that he is not brought back easily, not easily brought back to the United States. I got some stuff with Diddy, so let's take a look at the stories I have about Diddy. Hold on. Okay, we don't want that. That's not what we want. Okay. Yeah, sorry about that, people. Let's go to the story I got about Diddy.
Is all part of a federal investigation into human trafficking. They also say that this investigation has been ongoing now for our sources. Law enforcement sources are telling ABC News that right now authorities are carrying out searches at properties associated with P. Diddy. This is all part of a federal investigation into human trafficking. They also say that this investigation has been ongoing. They add, our sources, that an arrest does not appear to be imminent at this time, but what you are looking at right now is
I'm gonna tell you guys something. Listen. If the feds are getting search warrants to go into your house, into your property, they already have a case built against you. They already got the case. They're just trying to put the Lego blocks where they belong. They're just trying to put the pieces of the puzzle where they belong. They already know what they're after you for. Let's go back and look at some more of that story. Fair use, fair use.
live video of one of these searches being conducted. Now, this is a search that is happening at Sean Diddy Combs' Los Angeles home. This is in the Beverly Hills area, so you can see a tremendous amount of law enforcement present there all around that home. So this search just began here. There's also, as we understand, another search being conducted on the other side of the country in Miami, because we are hearing from Homeland Security that there are investigations going on using the assistance of HSI Los Angeles and HSI Miami, along with local law enforcement partners. We do understand that they will provide us with updates as possible, but this goes into multiple allegations against Sean Diddy Combs over the years. There's been several civil suits against him as well, including human trafficking, all of which
all right, that human trafficking charge, that's why DHS is involved. That's why the FBI is involved. They're going after Diddy with federal RICO charges. If you understand what RICO is racketeering. What is it? Oh man, hold on. Let me. I forgot what the. Okay, RICO is Racketeer Influence and Corruption Organizations Act. This is where the trafficking comes in, and usually along with that comes other things such as money laundering, blackmail, criminal conspiracy, different things like that. And what they're doing with these search warrants is that they're trying to grab all of the pieces of evidence that corroborates anything that fits within the RICO statute. Uh, DHS would fit in because DHS is a federal organization that deals with, obviously it deals with Homeland Security, but Homeland Security is a rather broad-based spectrum. Whereas when you talk FBI and stuff, FBI is primarily accounting, it's numbers, different things like that. DA is drugs. Um, DHS is going to be more trafficking because you're dealing with border crossing violations, different things like that. So, ATF, alcohol, tobacco, and firearms, different things like that. So it is my speculation, my opinion that um, the trafficking part that would involve DHS in this investigation of Diddy would possibly be of people from other countries. So we'll see, and it'll come out, and it'll come out as the story goes on. But we're gonna get to the part where Diddy got the F out of Dodge. So let's go back to that story and continue to see what that story says. Hold on. Okay, that's not what I want. Let's get back here. Get the Diddy story.
And trial attorney Brian Buckmeyer, who I know, Brian, you have been following this case for many months, and you bring it up to me all the time. And now I wouldn't call this the culmination. In fact, probably this is just the beginning, right? So what do you make of the fact that they've decided to carry out these two searches simultaneously and on other sides of the country here?
So, Kayla, you're right. I've been talking to this about this for too long. But what does it get you? What does a person need to have the ability to search a home? Probable cause. So what I'm doing is I'm looking backwards. How could a judge grant the ability to search these two homes, and why would you do it simultaneously? Probable cause being the belief, or at least having the quantity of information that a crime either did happen, is happening, or is going to happen. That's how law enforcement must have to prove to a judge or a court why they have the opportunity or the legal ability to search someone's home. Now, why would you do it in conjunction from one property and another at the same time? Law enforcement typically does this because they are worried that information or property or evidence may be hidden away or destroyed while you're searching one property. And so they're looking for something to corroborate the belief that they have that a crime did occur. And as you pointed out earlier,
one thing I gotta say that this reporter, Sugar Smacks up there, he's wrong in what is considered probable cause. It has to be probable cause has to be that either a crime has been committed or a crime is being committed. When you go into a crime is possibly going to be committed, that is probable cause. That is not the same. This is what gets people in trouble. This is what gets police officers in trouble in court, because you have to be able to articulate things properly. And this is where lawyers trip people up. If it is suspicious that a crime is about to occur and that a person is armed, then that would fall into the realm of reasonable suspicion. Once it is that a crime has occurred or is occurring, that is probable cause. And You have to be very careful when articulating that in front of a judge for purposes of indictments and search warrants and stuff like that. Because if you're not, you're going to set yourself up for failure, and good attorneys will zero in on that and they will nail you to the wall. All right, let's get back to this story. Let's continue.
He's facing multiple allegations of sex trafficking. So perhaps that is a crime in which they're investigating. Perhaps that is what they're trying to seek more information from. But in order to search a home, you have to have probable cause. The only question is, probable cause of what?
Probable cause. And so, Brian, as you look at this and you watch this, and we'll shout if we see any more movement on these screens, but it is important to note, right, that this is all being run out of the Southern District of New York here. So there is a tremendous amount of coordination happening within law enforcement at the highest levels.
Absolutely. And the reason why I believe it's being coordinated out of the SDNY, or the Southern District of New York, which encompasses, for the most part, Manhattan, is a lot of the civil allegations stem from there, whether it be Cassie or the other 4 allegations or civil lawsuits that stemmed from it afterwards. And so what it appears to be, at least if you're thinking this is connected to the civil lawsuits, are that the SDNY is coordinating with the other agencies in Miami as well as Los Angeles to search the properties of Sean Combs to see if there's any evidence of that. Now, I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
All right, that's gonna be enough for that particular story right there. But we see that that's really the second and third search of Diddy's properties that has occurred. As I mentioned earlier, I believe the first search occurred around January, or I want to say December. It was either late December or early January. He was in Miami during the time the Fed searched his property, and it was unclear to me if they found anything. I don't even know if the property in Miami was the one that it is a different one, or they searched the property again that they searched before. That I don't know. And quite frankly, I haven't done enough research to know that. That being said, while all this was going on, guess who took off? Was like, man, I'm not sticking around. And he gave me the 2 fingers. That is Mr. Brother Love, Mr. P. Diddy, Puffy, whatever you want to call him, because he's had several names, and there are both legal and inspirational reasons behind that, if that's what you want to call it. But every so often, guys like him, Snoop, other people, they reinvent themselves, and we talked about this the other day with Candace Owens reinventing herself, and shifting over into different areas, because Candace Owens, before, she was a Democrat. Then she was she spent a brief period red pill, then she became a conservative, and now apparently she's taking on a pro-black slant, uh quote unquote. But it's the idea of reinvention. So and reinvention is a significant process in growth. And because growth is not just physical, it's as far as intangibles, such as becoming a person. Growth is a part of that as well. So, but getting back to Diddy, you know he's changed his name several times, and for purposes of this story, he has also fled the country. Let me see if I could find Mike Reed. Russian people take on the looks of Eastern Europe, India, and China. Facts. Jimmy Alice says his neighbors were wondering what the F is going on? I don't know, man, because what are some of those authors you named? That's what Jimmy Olive said. Henry Kissinger, Carol Quigley. Who else have I read books by for geopolitical purposes? I tell you what, I'm going to go look at some of these other guys who I have books from about geopolitical stuff, and then I'll actually create a list, and I'll post it in the YouTube post section, in the community section. Uh, those those authors that you can read some geopolitical stuff on. But the two big ones for what we talked about today was Carol Quigley and Henry Kissinger. Oh, and Michael Yan. Michael Yan was the guy we saw in the video. His books are actually pretty good if you want to understand China. And that's going to be important because of what we talked about earlier. But getting back to Diddy, let's talk about our buddy Diddy. You know, let's see what we could find. I'm not seeing anything that says definitively. Let me take a look at Benny Johnson. Shout out to Benny Johnson. I don't agree with some of his takes on political issues, but I do think he is a pretty good content creator, and he makes a lot of stuff that is very eye catching. So shout out to Benny Johnson. Go check out his material, and we're going to look at this video that he put up about Diddy fleeing the country. Let me see if we can get this slow poke actually going. While we're waiting on this, hey, who would like me to do a show talking about the various special operations um, groups in the U.S. military? Every so often, I would get people who would like to have the conversation. And so I want to know if that is something you all would like to talk about. That I can talk about that. I can talk about some of the metaphysics stuff. You all know I'm into stuff like that. Big Billy Carson, Randall Carlson fan. I like to talk about that kind of stuff. You know, the what ifs as far as space aliens and stuff like that. If we talk about that, like I said, we can talk about the special forces. The special operations, because not only do you have U.S. Army Special Forces, you have U.S. Army Rangers. You also have Navy SEALs, U.S. Navy SEALs. You have United States Marine Corps, Force Recon Marines. You have the Air Force, which has pararescue and combat controllers. Uh, we can talk about all that stuff. We can talk about swift boats and fast attack teams, all of that stuff. If you would like to talk about that, or if you are a young person and you are looking to get into that, because I know a little something about the U.S. Army Rangers. For those of you all who know, you know. we can talk about it. So we'll do that. But in the meantime, let's look at this video by Benny Johnson on Diddy fleeing the continental United States while the ABC organizations kick his doors in. Let's go. Fair use, fair use.
What's up, guys? Boy, Benny. Holy this P. Diddy story just got super duper real. Getting massive OJ vibes right now. Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, the rapper, has fled the country on a private jet heading to what some say is an African nation with no extradition treaty with the United States, where he'll just...
Let me stop right here. Yes, he had to go to an African nation. Cannot go to a Caribbean nation because despite what some of you all may think, Caribbean nations, most Caribbean nations are still a part of the continental Americas, even the ones still controlled by the French and the Dutch. They are still a part of the Americas, and they're more likely they still have a treaty with either a European country or the United States themselves. So they will have extradition in those countries. And so what Puffy has to do is he may make a pit stop there, but in the, dark of the night, he has to go to an African nation because the U.S. does not have as many treaties with African nations, especially if it is an African nation, African country that is not controlled by Europe. Then he is more likely to be able to get away there because they don't have extradition. So, but let's continue. Fair use, fair use.
disappear forever. I kid you not. This is a real story. We're going to talk all about it here, but P. Diddy's private jet, here you go, you can see it right here in various videos and so on. This private jet has just fled the country after Diddy's homes were raided by the feds in a sex trafficking sting, a massive one. You can see the jet right now, and it's tracking. We are tracking the jet ourselves. You can see it right here on the screen. This is the flight. It flew. It took off. Literally, the hour his home was raided, the jet took off from Van Nuys Airport in Los Angeles and has now stopped in a island, Bermuda, it looks like. Antigua and Barbuda is where the jet is. Now, this island actually does have an extradition treaty with America, but they are presumably just refueling. These jets need to stop at certain locations. They can't do the trip. I mean, this is a very, very long trip already. But the rapper Diddy is now out of the States. He's out of the building. He gone. This is, by the way, when he left. This is the takeoff tracker. You can see that he left Van Nuys, a private airport in LA, and he left.
I am very humbly
Yeah, sorry about that. Okay. All right. So yeah, as we can see, according to this Benny Johnson video, Diddy has fled the country. And this was something when they did that first search warrant, I said he's gonna have to leave the country like Russell Simmons. Which what I don't understand about it, and I'm not condoning him doing it or not. I'm simply saying I understand, and I am simply saying that I don't understand why he didn't do it sooner. He knew all of this was coming down the pipe. Uh, I don't understand why he didn't do it sooner. And I was also speculating that this could be a pump fake to where he stuck a lookalike of one of his sons on the plane, and he went in another direction because he has enough money and influence to actually do that. Because I'll tell you this much, with these search warrants being issued out of the Southern Federal District of New York, I'm pretty sure that he got a phone call or something that somebody let him know, hey, they coming for you, dog. You better get to getting. You can't tell me that didn't happen, because when you start talking billionaire status, when you start talking millionaire status, that's something you can do where you may not be able to buy people, but you can sure rent their services and borrow their services if you got enough money. And Diddy has enough money. He has access to enough money. So I'm pretty sure somebody gave him a heads up, and that's how he got up out of there. Now, as far as planning how he was going to make his exit, I don't know. I know what I would do if it were me, but I'm not Diddy. So, um, so what are you guys' thoughts about that? What are you guys saying in the chat? So tell about the mercenary group. Sounds like a good Metal Gear Solid story. I don't know much about the mercenary groups or I know some contractors. I know some contractor companies in the past. Like I've known guys that have worked for Blackwater, Triple Canopy, stuff like that. But as far as mercenaries, while I don't know mercenaries, I have some ideas about mercenaries. And one of those ideas is that the T types, we have T type. I believe that there are T type mercenary assassins. Yes, but I'm a conspiracy theory guy. So, you can take it with a grain of salt. So Mike Reed says, no need for him to stay in the USA. Exactly. You got to call, he got a call from his legal team. Facts. You know, with that type of money, he knows somebody that knows somebody, and he might directly know the somebody to talk to, and they say, hey, bro, you got to get gone. You know, um, Mr. Foster, welcome, man. I'm glad you're here with us, hanging out. While I do my Diddy babble. You said you have private mercenaries and assassin organizations as well. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Um, I don't know about them. What I do know is about, I know a little bit about the special operations groups in the U.S. military. As far as the those clandestine groups, and groups within groups and stuff, I don't know nothing about that. All I would be doing is some deep speculation. But I'm still glad to have you here, bro. Jimmy Olive says Metal Gear Rex. Right. So somebody got a gold coin that they can cash in at a late. Right. Right. There you go. Uh, there you go, Mike. The same thing. I will do. Yeah. 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 I would do it too. Hey, Hotel Continental. Hey, they got a series coming out about the Hotel Continental. I cannot wait to see it. Yeah. Yeah, man. But So Diddy has fled the country, and as I said before, even though he stopped off in a Caribbean country, uh, he's not going to stay there for several reasons. Mike Reed actually mentioned one of the reasons. Mike Reed says the U.S. will cut off the Western Union funds to that Caribbean country. They have done it before, no money until they hand them over. Facts. Yes, it has happened before. No. Yeah. Mr. Foster says, yeah, keep going. Most of them are families. That I'm not sure what you're referring to. That might be the um the clout that, you know, and knowing the having the connections to know what's coming down the pipe as far as you know, legal stuff. If that's the case, you are right. If you understand how Chicago works, everything is families, is friends and families. Hey, let me take care of something with my dogs real quick. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you guys a little break while I go handle some business with the puppies.
Judge, you've been around when you're doing meeting with all these families. What part of the responsibility is mothers? What part of the responsibility is on the father? Because typically the blame goes on the father.
Well, there are no fathers. And see, the thing of it is, these men that just ran off and left the women, these women don't want the men. All they wanted was the babies. And see, you had people like the poetress Nikki Giovanni back in the 60s were going all around the country and they were lecturing the women, and they were young women, and they were saying, you don't need a father for your children. Just get preggo, find one that looks good, smart, athletic. Yeah, that one. And don't even tell him that he's the daddy, because if you bring a man into the picture, they screw up everything. So there was this point where if you had the guy around, there was a problem. And then there was some that did want the guy around, but back when I first started practicing law 50 years ago, one of our number one cases was getting the check cut back on because some dingbat social worker would sit at the end of the block with binoculars, and if there was one or two of the 6 or 7 baby daddies trying to play father, they'd cut the check off. So we had problems with juvenile courts around the country where, Judge, that's not my kid. Well, you feed it long enough, he'll look just like you. So, you know, that was before DNA. And I can remember one thing. It was a cop I was representing, and he got a petition to increase the child support. So when they called the kid's name, I stood up, he stood up. 2 more lawyers stood up and 2 other guys stood up. So this woman was collecting child support from 3 guys for the same kid. So we finagled getting some DNA testing, and none of the 3 were the daddies.
No way.
Yeah. Shout out to Judge Joe Brown. Shout out to PVD Podcast. Shout out to Womb Hustlers. Shout out to the Womb Hustlers. Yeah. Yeah. But getting back to the Diddy situation, yeah, he can't stay in the Caribbean. It would be too easy for the United States to pick him up. So he's got to go to an African country, you know. So, but yeah, what I was talking about earlier was how clout works in Chicago. A lot of it is family last names and basically addresses. Uh, you know, if you're from Chicago, you know about the 19th Ward. Mike Reed, you know, he's from the Chicagoland area, right outside of Chicago. Uh, if you know Chicago, you know about the 19th Ward, you know about the 21st Ward, uh, you know about different areas. There are certain last names like Madigan, you know, Daly, you know, there's certain last names that, you know, they hold a lot of weight, you know. So, and really, when you look at uh Diddy's real last name, you know, even though his father was a drug dealer, his father was well connected, you know. So Mr. Foss says you have to remember when you live life under the table, everything is private, so a lot of info, it's best not to be revealed to the public. Exactly. Jimmy Olive says, yo, years ago I was looking into that, and a lot of them went to the same schools or were in schools that competed against each other. Yep. Jimmy Olive, if you know anything about Chicago and you know about the Catholic League and different things like that, that is exactly what you're saying. So you do have that, and I would imagine it is no different in New York, uh, in places like Mount Vernon, you know, Staten Island, you know, in basically in the Northeast. I would imagine a lot of that runs the same. And even when you start looking at places like DC, you know, that being related or connected to the Clintons goes a long way. Being connected to the Obamas goes a long way. Being connected to the Bidens goes a long way. You know, being connected to Nancy Pelosi goes a long way. So no doubt you had this, and somebody put a bug in Puffy's ear, told him, hey, you need to do this. And, you know, we mentioned why he wouldn't stay in the Caribbean, because it wouldn't be to his advantage. He'll probably go to an African nation, or he'll probably go to an Asian nation like Russell Simmons did. You know, he's definitely not going to stick around like Andrew Tate, you know, and stay in Europe where they can still get him. And there's, you know, there's extradition treaties with the countries that he's in, so that, you know, they can find reasons to pick him up and hold him in jail and keep him from making money. You know, the smart thing would be to, objectively, the smart thing would be to get somewhere where they can't get to you, at least get to you easy. You know, they have to really want you, and they have to really have something really, really big. Now, with the FBI and the DHS going after Diddy, that's criminal, because they're not going to go after people like that for something civil. So they're looking at something criminal, and it's probably, you know, it's probably concerning Rico, which we've mentioned before. And we talked a little bit about what Rico charges consist of. So, and the most effective way to process a Rico case is with witnesses, um, with informants, with somebody that, you know, they got something hanging over their heads, and they, you know, you prosecutor comes in and makes a deal. Hey, listen, you know, we'll either give you immunity or we'll cut your time down considerably if you tell us and you testify about this. So I'm pretty sure that that's what happened. I don't think it was just Cassie, but, you know, I think Cassie was definitely one of the people that spoke on it. And the thing about it is, I'm gonna tell you, Cassie, if she did speak on it, like I think she did, that's because Cassie was complicit in what was going on. Shout out to DJ Cuda. Me and him have talked about this before. Um, we know how Cassie got down, just like we know how Harpo got down. Shout out to Harpo. You know, we know how they got down. We understand what it was, and so when they talk about, you know, certain things. Oh, shout out to Fannie Mae you know, and this is not Fannie Willis, the other Fannie Mae. We know how they got down. We know that they were about a certain life, and we know what the play is with that, you know, rather than get the bottom B, rather than lock the bottom B up, use the bottom B to get to the peak. Yeah. So, yeah. But that's what that's pretty much what's going on with that. But she's not the only one that's talking about it, you know. Um, and this is why, and even the Chris Jones, the producer that filed the lawsuit against Diddy. It's not just him, and it's not just the people that filed lawsuits. There are some other people that once the situation comes to trial, there are going to be other people that are going to they're going to be revealed to have testified, that will testify against Diddy if they catch up with him. And you know, some of it may be surprising. It won't surprise me because I've seen this time and time again. So I don't even trip about stuff like that, you know. So it is what it is. Um anyway, so we talked about those two stories. There was something else I wanted to talk about, you know. So now that we talked about Diddy, who all do you think is next? Who all do you think is next? Because it ain't just Diddy that they're gonna go after. We talked about yesterday, we talked about Candace Owens and her firing from the Daily Wire. And I told you guys a little bit of what I saw with the firing. The way I look at it, and watching some of the things that Candace Owens has done, you know, and as you all know, I'm very objective when it comes to Candace Owens. I am not I am not a fanboy of Candace Owens. In fact, there are times I am very critical of Candace Owens, but not because of the pro Blicky stuff. You know, I'm a Caribbean boy, I'm a tether baby. So you know, you know, but Candace Owens is a tether baby too. But, you know, that being said, I know what Candace Owens' talking points come from. Uh Objectively looking at what Candace Owens what happened with her, she kind of planned this out, I would say probably 3 years ago, you know. And what DJ Kuda was saying, she's gonna grip her way over into like the black manosphere. I wouldn't say that, but the black sector, yeah. Um, I would say that because she she's polarizing the black sector. A lot of the black sector gets popular, gets popping, you know, because whether they love you or they hate you, if they're talking about you, they're talking about you. And they talk about you a lot in the black sector. And there's a lot of money to be made in the black sector of social media, YouTube, different platforms like that. So yeah, I see Candace coming doing that. You know, as far as her coming to the black manosphere, no. Maybe the the wider manosphere, maybe, you know, because the white guys like her, you know, and the white guys are in the bigger manosphere. For those of you all who don't know, who don't really, who are new to the manosphere, you know, there's a black manosphere and there's a manosphere, but you know, both manospheres were created by, well, people with sub-Saharan African DNA. One was a black guy, one was a Dominican guy. Um, the MGTOW guy, the first guy to really talk about different stuff. What was his name? Deacon Dave, what up, bro? How you feeling today, man? Glad you could join us. The Manosphere was started by I keep wanting to say Sepulveda, but it's not Sepulveda. It's damn it. This Dominican guy. He has since gotten married and he more or less stepped away from content creation years ago. Candace should go to PBD. I don't think Candace wants to be working for anybody else. I think Candace wants to have a completely sovereign thing to where she's calling all the shots for some reason. Barbarossa. Sorry about that. Barbarossa. Barbarossa was the original MGTOW guy. Barbarossa was the originator of the Manosphere concept, and Barbarossa is a Dominican. A lot of people don't know that because you haven't been around that long, which it is what it is. But yes, but again, Dominicans are not black. Black are English speakers with a legacy under the British Crown. Okay. But yeah, Deacon Dave says Candace should go to Valuetainment. I think Candace wants complete sovereignty and control. She wants to be able to call her own shots. Hey, I got 60 people in here and I got 2 likes. Hit the dislike button if you don't like me, damn it. Hey, man, y'all wildin'. Hey, do me a favor. Hit the like button. I'd appreciate that, man. I'd appreciate that. Thank you. Hit the like button, please. Jimmy Allen says, nah, the General Mansfield would not expect a chick, not accept the chick over there as a talking head. Jimmy, you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. I've been around this Manosphere stuff for a few years. And they actually have. The problem is that each time they get a girl, they get a woman that they halfway like, what they call a Nawalt. They find out, uh, she's attracted to black men in some form, or connected to a black man in some form or fashion. Then they get mad and they kick her out. But the thing is, with Candace Owens is what white men that like black women tend to like. She is what they like. You would be surprised at the number of white men that get on that Candace Owens campaign. And what about Candace Owens? Yeah, I really like Candace. She's really gorgeous. And they trust me. They like Candace Owens, and she's married to a white guy, so they like her. They like Candace Owens, and that's I I'm fine with that. I don't care. Lion of Judah, yes. Lion of Judah says Jay-Z is the next one. Yep. In fact, that was Mr. Foster, I think, asked the question. I think he asked the question, who was next? Lion of Judah. Yeah. I agree with Lion of Judah. I really think Jigga Man is the next man up. He's got all of the markers. You got to understand something. There's a warfare being waged on wealthy black men. Y'all may think that what's happening is circumstantial. I think it's deeper than that. I think there is a warfare, and it's not by who you think. I don't think that warfare is by white men. I really don't. Line of Judah also says, he says Beyonce, which now they, Beyonce belongs to Beyonce belongs to them. They're not gonna go after Beyonce, but Jay-Z, yeah, Drake, possibly, Meek, possibly. I don't think Meek Mills is a big enough target besides he's being hit by Puffy. Oh, yeah. Meek, he got his hands full with Puffy. Oh, dude. Yeah. I don't think Meek is there yet, but Jay-Z, yeah. Jay-Z is a big fish. Uh, Mr. Foster says no woman is sovereign. Um, our Statue of Liberty is a woman. That is the mascot and avatar of this country. All women are sovereign. Men are not. Women are liberated in this country. Men are not. Just pay attention. Mr. Foster says she must have her own men of severing of her of serving her matriarchy. She must have her own men serving her matriarchy. Right now, she's making a deal. Trust me. The audio recording of Puff. Hey, 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 Dave. I heard it 2 nights ago, and I was like, "Oh my God, what? Who in the world?" I couldn't. I don't think I can pull myself to even record that mess. Oh, I don't know if y'all heard it. I'm not playing it on this channel. It was too much for me. It is too much for me, man. It was wild. I was like, I heard it. I heard it. I know what you're talking about, Deacon. I know what you're talking about, bro. Mr. Foss says they should be no rich black man in woman in feminist society. But the US is a feminist society. That's why Mr. Foster, that's why we have a Statue of Liberty. And this is one of those metaphysical type subjects and subjects of conspiracies that I like to get into, and I'll actually do a show on that one day. Jimmy, it was a whole lot. Hey, Jimmy, it was a whole lot of clapping, Jimmy, in that recording. But getting back to the thing with the feminist society and stuff, and I mentioned the Statue of Liberty. That is the avatar and the mascot of the United States. I'm going to do a show where I talk about different things, and I'll actually even connect them to some things that you may have learned in the Bible or holy books. Lion of Judah might know what I'm talking about. Mike Reed might know what I'm talking about. But there are some things that are laid out right in front of us. But many of us are in a situation where we are eyes wide shut, unless you know because somebody told you. One of those things is the Statue of Liberty. There's certain other things, but Jimmy Olive says, tell us about the status. I'm not sure what you mean. Miss Foss says cat family. Jimmy Olive says, did he want to? I think Diddy took him shopping, man. Digging Dave says Uber Yuck. Yeah, it was uh, uh when you have what's it about? And if you're talking about the Statue of Liberty, um when you have an avatar or mascot for your country, that is the spirit of your country, that is your guardian, and that is what sets the tone for how your country is ruled. This is why you had certain things in Egypt. This is why the Israelites had things like lions. This is why the Russians have bears. This is why you had, you know, uh, other countries with other animals and symbols. And those, they all mean something for that country. And they all tell you something about how that country is run and what the modus operandi is, you know. So, I mean, even when you look at your religions and you have your different religious symbols, like you have your Star of David, you have your Star and Crescent of Islam, you have your cross of Christianity, they all mean something than what's simply shown you. Um, Jimmy Olive, in the Holy Books, give us clue. Book of Revelation. Book of Revelation spells out all of that stuff. You know, when it talks about the great dragon and, you know, talks about the whore on the serpent and different stuff like that. The There are things that um you'll see nowadays that those is outlined in those in those books, and they mean something, you know. Miss Foss says, I mean, this is Babylon, brothers, so we should know all the end of this story. So, you know, I mean, that you can look at it like that if you want to. I see something quite, I understand what you're saying. I see something slightly different, but you know, hey, it definitely helps focus an attention and an intent. So but that's some of the stuff I get into, you know, as far as on that side. And I think I'll start doing some of that stuff. I'll probably do more of that on Rumble because I think it's a little deep for YouTube. Um, I think you know, I might offend some people. You know, especially when I start talking about Astaroth. You know, you know, when I start talking about that and you know, different things, you know, yeah, yeah, you know, some people, they ain't ready for that, you know. When you start talking about, um you know, Gog and Magog and Mammon and, you know, different stuff like that, people aren't ready for that. You know, what about Tyler Perry and Oprah? You talking about Harpo? uh I don't know if they're tired of Oprah. May be next, Lion of Judah. Oprah may be next. You know, Miss Foss says Chinese had the dragon. Yeah, yeah, the Chinese had the dragon. Yeah, yeah, you know. So, but yeah, I'll start talking more of the metaphysical stuff, the stuff about you know, the conversations I like to have about aliens, because you all know there are roughly I know of roughly 9 alien species, extraterrestrial species. Uh, you know, we'll talk about the the book that outlined that stuff. But we're gonna do that on like Rumble or something. I don't think that's a conversation ready for YouTube quite yet, you know. And so what I need to do is organize my information and stuff so I can put it out there for you guys. Do me a favor, hit that like button, people. Hit the like button for me. You know, if you really feeling, you know, you really feeling what we're doing over here, you know, drop $1 or $2 in the Cash App. I'd appreciate it, you know. But what I appreciate the most is that you guys are here, that you all are here. I got 60 eyes on what's going on over here. So I appreciate that. I will talk more about celebrity stuff. That's what y'all want me to talk about. That's what I'll talk about. You know, hey, whatever it takes to, you know, get the views and build this channel up. I'm just not doing no makeup tutorials. I'm not doing no makeup tutorials, you know. Yeah. So, but as we, you know, getting back to the Puffy story, Puffy, while the feds are kicking in his doors, Puffy fled the country. And Miss Foss says, I'm out. Asteroth. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I feel you, bro. Hey, yeah, people not ready for that conversation, Miss Foster. If you know about what I just said, you know where I'm going. You know that's a heavy conversation for a lot of people. They not ready for that. When you know that's you know, yeah, yeah. Yeah, they're not ready for them types of conversations. But that's the thing. When I tell people a lot of stuff is hidden in plain sight, you have to really understand what you're looking for. Now, information is information, you know, and don't be afraid of information. What you do with the information is different, but information is information, and you need to know what you're looking at. A lot of times we don't, you know, we see things and we get with it and we're like, yay, yay, cheerleader, pom poms. And it's like, you just don't know what it is. You know, you just not, you don't understand what it is. Line of Juice says, come on now. The Apocrypha tells it all. Yeah, yeah, it does. The Apocrypha does tell it all, you know, as well as the canon. The canon tells it all too. The thing is it's how it's read. Your name is Lion of Judah. You know where I'm going. You know, Miss Foster definitely knows where I'm going. You know, it's a different conversation. Um, Definitely for this time of day, I don't think people are ready for that conversation. So we're gonna hold off on that, but I'm gonna get around to it. I'll probably get with guys like you know, Miss Fantastic and stuff, you know, and we'll talk about it. You know, I'll we'll talk about different stuff like spell casting, different things like that, how spell casting is done, what the meaning of magic truly is. You know, it's much simpler than you guys think. Spell casting is much simpler than many of you guys think, and it happens on a regular basis. Jimmy Alice says, give me another clue. What is the canon? The canon is the Bible that you already read. The canon is just that King James version. That's canon. You know, the regular 66 books of the Bible, that's the canon. You know, that's it. The Apocrypha is the other books of the Bible that the line of Judah is referring to, the Apocrypha. That are the books that were excluded from the collection of books that constitute the Bible as we know it, as most people know it. Jimmy Alice says, nah, people ready now. They're not ready. They're not ready for that conversation, man. They're not ready because it's going to radically challenge things that people are comfortable with, and it's going to make them uncomfortable. And that's something that, you know, people get real weird. You know, they start doing stuff like stalking, all kinds of crazy stuff, man. You know, Book of Revelations, listen for the Trumps. people. We on number 5. Only 2 left. Oh, the trumpets. Yeah. So, you know, did the Catholic Church take out the other books? Yes, more or less, yes. Yeah, look up the Council of Nicaea and, read up on that, and that'll explain a lot of that for you, you know. But yeah, so actually what you have a lot of what's going on in places like, Hollywood, different things like that. A lot of this way out activity, sexual activity that they're having, a lot of that has to do with magic. It has to do with magic. It has to do with sex magic, different things like that. So, and all of that deals with the metaphysical side, and a lot of what you think is more, um, a lot of this stuff is more surface than you guys realize, and it's right, like I said before, it's right in front of your face. Jimmy Allen says, "How do you feel about sounds coming up out of dried up river?" I'm not familiar with that. I have to check that out. What was the 5 that went off? Okay, you're talking about Jimmy's talking the line of Judah. Okay, but yeah, man. So they're gonna get rid of Puffy if Biden gets in the office. If Biden gets a second term, they're going to go after another big fish. It's not just gonna be Puffy. I don't think it'll be Oprah. I don't think it'll be an Oprah, but I do think it'll be another man. Um, that's just how I see it, man. That's just how I see it. And uh I think what we've seen so far, I think I think that's a safe bet, because now what's happening is you're having careers built, uh lawfare wars being waged, and human sacrifices being made. Sacrifices are not, some of them are in actual lives, but some of those sacrifices are reputations as well. Make no mistake, not all of those sacrifices are result in a deletion of the physical person. A lot of it are deletions of character, of character and reputation. Um, when people like me tell you all that a lot of these modern BWs, especially if they went to college, are practicing witchcraft, we're telling you the truth. We're telling you the truth. Jimmy Allen, Euphrates. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, I did read about that. I did hear about that and read about that. Um, I did hear about that. Did you hear about the bones found in in the riverbed of Euphrates? Yeah. So, um, but when we tell you guys that a lot of these women are practicing magic, it's not what you think it is. Um, a lot of you think it's magic like Disney magic or Jimmy Olive, the giant bones. So so you all think of it, some of you all, a lot of you all think of it as magic, as in, like they show voodoo on TV, and or Disney magic and stuff. It's nothing like that. It's nothing like that. And when you don't, when you think of it that way, you miss it. You miss it, just like you miss the spell casting and stuff. Um, and you know, a lot of you all don't realize spells are being cast on you every day, all the time. But we're gonna get into it. On that note, what time is it, man? Let me check out what time it is, man. Yeah, I got to get off here because I got some stuff to do. I might come back later with a live. Thank you all for joining me on this live. This is probably one of the biggest ones I've had as of recent, as of late. I appreciate everybody that came here. Do me a favor, as you leave this live stream, hit the like button for me. Hit that like button. Hit the like button. Hit that like button. This is Mr. Royce, Royce Media. Like, share, and subscribe. Get at me in the comment sections if you have something you want me to talk about as far as topics. Hit me at my email. My email is in the description for this channel. If we're friends on Facebook, because I have a Facebook under Royce J and Mr. Royce J. I have a Facebook channel. You can watch on Facebook. You can also shoot me a message in the inbox, and if it's something I can talk about, I'll talk about it. I'm going to set up a Patreon soon so I can talk about actually some of that metaphysical stuff, some of the paranormal stuff I like to talk about. So we can, we can do our tinfoil hat stuff, so shoot me an email, or shoot me an email or a DM, and we can talk about it. Jimmy says, if you can't do a Kamina Mina, how strong can it be? Mr. Foss says, at Royce, listen, boys. Hey, listen, man. Yeah. There's a lot that I know on that metaphysical side, on the on the spook side that they call it the spook side. There's a lot I know. I'll be willing to talk about it, but hey, if I do, y'all got to tune in. You got to tune in. Like I said, I might set up a Patreon so we can talk about that stuff over there. Break some of it down. And I'll explain to you guys how you have to look at some of that, how you have to look at most of it, because it's going to alter how you see things, and it's not in that you're going to get possessed anything. It's information. Information is just information. What you do with the information is very different, though. And so that's the thing. I'll provide the information. I'll drop the breadcrumbs, give you the tea leaves and all of that and stuff. But anyway, I got to get on out of here. Hey, y'all, peace. Y'all be safe. And I will see you all later on today. I'm out of here.